This is the CreaseCast.
Because here's the thing with the Canucks, and this is why I'm always joking that they're not the worst team. They're not like the saddest franchise. They're very much the middle. Because I feel like there's always like a nugget of like, it's always like they make it seem good for a bit and then something just destroys you. Like they build you up before they break you down, sort of thing.
Yes.
Because it's not like with Buffalo where it's just constantly digging deeper. It's just digging deeper the whole time. So with the Canucks, here's what would be the worst. What would be the worst is if they all did come back. They all came back perfectly good because you give you this false hope. They somehow make a magical push all the way into like the playoffs, all the way like through the first two rounds, and then get to like the bubble part or whatever. And then immediately draw like Boston in the conference final and just get like shellacked in the final and just get absolutely just kicked by some team like that. It would be like the Canucks going up against, let's see, who do we got in the other divisions? It'll be the Canucks, and the final four would be Vancouver, Vegas, Tampa, and Boston, just to really hammer home you get nothing good out of it.
Oh my god! You know like what? Actually,
I know this too well.
I actually don't even know what'd be worse because like Boston, like they reached the Cup final or whatever, and they lost in Game 7 at home. So I mean, they felt the pain that Canucks fans had, so it kind of felt like okay, yay, but. I think the worst thing that would possibly happen is if they ran into like say the Kings went hot again and they reached their conference finals, because then that would mean the Kings had their dynasty of 2 cups and executed a legitimate rebuild where they sold off everything, acquired as many first and second round picks as possible. Their AHL team is literally just like a collection of first and second rounders, and they beat the Canucks to go to the finals. So then in effect, the LA Kings had both won more cups, rebuilt, and started competing for their next run of cups faster than the Canucks could even get to the playoff portion.
That would be pretty bad.
I thought about that the other day because I was looking at like the Canucks prospect pool.
I hated the Kings so much.
You just got to look at their prospect pool and you just got to be like you can't even be mad about it because you're just like, man, like I hated that Kings team that like was so dirty with the hits and the cheap shots and the elbows.
And Jonathan Quick getting away with literally all sorts of cheap stuff, like dirtiest goalie that wasn't named Tim Thomas, like. Just awful.
Yeah. And so the idea, like you see their prospect pool now though, and you're like, man, like tip of the cap to like what a real rebuild looks like on paper. Cause you're just like, wow, all those, like their AHL team is basically like an overager OHL squad. It's like a bunch of 20 and 21-year-olds only.
And imagine where they'd be if they
absolutely unreal.
Imagine if they hadn't like, really tried to like give like the older squad like one last push and then got swept by Vegas. Like imagine they had actually they had just started right out of the gate on that one. They might be already way farther.
We've talked about that series before because I always say like that like it was a boring series because nobody could score against either goaltender because both Quick and Fleury were like
Lights
on
out.
the peaks of their careers like they've ever had. Yeah. Nothing was getting by Quick, and it came down to like a 1 goal difference in every single game. And you just think like if Quick wasn't, or if they had somehow sold on Quick in that year, just what they could have couped in that draft year, because that would have been the 2017 draft.
Mm-hmm.
Like they like, I mean, they're already set up to like, sorry, Canucks fans listening to this, but they're set up to like have their rebuild like be done and competing at the same time that the Canucks are theoretically supposed to be competing, with a core that includes guys like Arthur Kaliev, possibly Tyler Madden, Jared Anderson Dolan's going to be like coming into his own. Same with Gabe Velarde, Quinton Byfield, Rasmus Kupari. Like just do yourselves a favor. Don't look at their prospect page if you don't want to feel like shit. But like from team process over here at the CreaseCast, you can't not open it and just marvel at like the work they've put into a rebuild.
Yeah.
But anyways, folks, welcome to another episode of the CreaseCast. And
Yeah.
sorry to
Bum
poo-poo
you out.
the beginning
Hey,
with rebuilds
you know
that have actually worked as
You know what
opposed to the
else would
Canucks.
be? You know what else would be very Pete Canucks is if they ended up making a magic run of the finals. And actually, I'm realizing this now. That actually the most Canuck thing possible would be for them to end up in the finals against the Panthers and have the Panthers win the cup before they do.
Oh my god!
Just the ultimate level of you've been bad for 27 years and you show up this time like.
That would be
Chris Drieger with the Conn Smythe Trophy, like just
no. Pierre Canucks is Chris Drieger doesn't win the Conn Smythe. Thatcher Demko does.
Not
because he
good.
Backstops them to the finals. He takes them to a game 7.
He's Jan Shiger.
And they lose 1-0.
Right.
and Demko still puts up like a 960 save percentage.
Yeah.
And like a 0.99 goals against average, but it doesn't matter. Like
that is Pete Canucks. Has an empty net goal in like game 4. He's just doing it all. Demko's just doing it all. Obviously we don't have much to talk about today in terms of like what the Canucks are doing.
We don't always like record our pre-podcast conversations, but we spent like 30 minutes just like going over the Dallas Stars draft history because we were like, it can always be worse.
Yes.
Look at the Scott Glennie draft year for the Dallas Stars. Like if they hadn't come around in the second and third round with other decent picks, like it would go down in history as like one of the biggest blown opportunities ever. Because 2009 was a deep draft and they've got a guy for 1 game played and 2 penalty minutes in Scott Glennie, and that's it. I'm like, man, like you can talk about like how like crappy the last few years have been, which they have been, but they're drafting very well. We know they've drafted very, very well. Like there hasn't, I mean,
even like
say what you want about Eo Levy, like he still played 4 more games than Scott Glennie as a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
So it can always be worse.
And even like I feel like the 6th and 7th rounders the Canucks get on a regular basis, like there's always kind of maybe it's just because of this is just the way this market is, but there always seems to be, at least in the last few years, there's always seemed to be kind of there might be something. Like it's never like they just anyone going like, oh, they just kind of threw a dart at the board and whatever it landed on they picked, right?
Yeah.
There actually seems to be like something might happen, you never know, kind of aspect.
There was a shift in the way they looked at their late round picks. Like in 2014, they spent a 7th round pick on a guy named what's his name? Something McKenzie or something, or Mackenzie Stewart, who is basically like I don't mean to be rude, but he was not an NHL player. He was not an AHL player. He was not an ECHL player. He was not good. He was obviously good enough to warrant the attention of scouts because of his size, his physicality, and the fact that he'd like fight and all that, but he was not a pro hockey player that you would slide into your everyday lineup. And I believe there was some kind of story like he overcame like being deaf as a child or something like that. Like it was pretty good. Wow. Like wow, this kid came out of nowhere to, put his name on the map and actually get drafted. He somehow also earned an ELC out of his junior years, which I mean, props to him. Like it takes a lot to get to that level, but he was obviously not that level. But after that year in 2014, the Canucks completely shifted priorities. They were going basically like the Tampa Bay model, like whoever's got really high production and scoring rates and is still kind of close to their draft year, let's take that guy. So they take Petrus Palmu in 2017 or whatever it is. He won like the Finnish Liga Rookie of the Year. The year before that, they took Artem Manikayan, or sorry, the year after they took Artem Manikayan, who was like 108 points in 56 games played in the Russian junior leagues. Like they changed the way they looked at drafting, where they were like, we want scorers and guys who can produce instead of just a bunch of big meatheads, because
I
you
feel
can
like a
get
lot of
meatheads for
teams,
free. A lot
a
of teams
lot,
did that. They
a
started
lot of team,
modeling.
a lot of teams went like they went away from the direction where they would look at like their 6th and 7th picks as, I'm just gonna take this guy because I know his dad, or because I'm like buddy, because he's my he's like the kid down my block, because like literally that was things teams did because they were just trying to be nice, and they were literally just throwing away picks. A lot of teams were doing that.
That's why you'll see in like the OHL drafts, like in the 6th and 7th rounds, it'll just be like no selection made. NHL teams will take any flyer they can on any player, but instead of taking it on
why not?
who's biggest and who has the biggest or the most fighting majors, it was okay, who scores a lot, because you can teach a scorer to play the NHL level, but you can't teach a meathead who's in his D2 year, or his D2 is second year post draft, how to score. Like it's just not going to happen. So I don't even know where I was going with this, but just like the
speaking of contracts, just a quick shout out to an old buddy of mine, Leighton Ahak, who just signed his ELC with the Golden Knights. So good for you.
Oh,
man.
Hell yeah!
I used to play road hockey with that guy. It's pretty cool.
It's
pretty cool. Yeah, I was like, I'm literally
friend of the program.
I don't know him that well anymore. It's been a while, but it's been a while since I've ever talked to him. But like,
as far as we know, he's a friend of the program.
Totally, sure.
He would be so supportive of you. That's just like you're supportive of him. It just makes sense.
Oh yeah. Oh totally. Yeah. I just wanted to say that because I think I saw it on Instagram that he had signed his contract, his first contract. So I believe he's going to Henderson to play for the Silver Knights now as well. Yeah. So he might be in the NHL sooner rather than later. I don't know. I don't know where you were going with that.
I don't know where we were going. Like we said, we said in the opening, we have like literally nothing to talk about because, as I'm sure everyone is aware by now, the Canucks aren't playing. They aren't scheduled to play for a long time. It pains us to say that even more players were added to the COVID protocol list. Niels Hoglander was added on Sunday, I think. Today's Tuesday. So Niels Hoglander was added yesterday. Jake Virtanen was added today. There's rumors that support staff were affected. It's basically anyone that was at that Wednesday morning skate prior to the Montreal game has come down with COVID-19, and a possible variant is also assumed because of Jace Howerluck's second COVID positive result in a span of a year. It is not a good situation. There's obviously a lot of concern for these players and their families, their kids. There was a great piece on Sportsnet about Brandon Sutter and how he's basically just confined to a basement while his like pregnant wife tries to deal with 2 toddlers on her own. Like your heart aches for these people. Like at the end of the day, they get paid a lot of money, but they're still people. Like you wouldn't wish this on Lachlan or myself, and you wouldn't wish it on these players just because they have millions of dollars to, make things a bit easier. At the end of the day,
no amount of money that can make that better. Like you can't magic away that kind of like the amount of damage that can do. It can do. COVID can do to your body, and just like the absolute garbage that it can put you through if you're not asymptomatic. We don't know. For some of them, they might be okay. It doesn't sound like a lot of them are doing all right.
Elliot Friedman was on the radio today when I was driving home, and he was basically like, some guys that he had reported the other day as having come around and started to feel better were now reporting to him that they just like roller coaster just back down to feeling like complete ass. Ugh. And you saw, I think Michaela Gaudette tweeted how she felt like she'd been hit by a train. Zach McEwen's girlfriend tweeted out that she, wasn't really a big fan of the toxic Twitter market, but she felt like it was responsible of her to say how she had felt like she had been hit by a train too, even though.
And I think they're not they're separate right now.
Yeah, they were separated, but she said she had a feeling her positive diagnosis would come. It was just a matter of when. And sure enough, it came. a day after she had actually tested negative. So it's like
That's how
it's just running
short it is.
rampant. Like Jake Virtanen, like he missed that one practice and showed up to the Wednesday morning skate, and he had tested negative for the past 5 days, and now just in the last 24 hours tested positive. Like it's inescapable, and it's really concerning that the protocols failed the team in such a way.
Yeah.
I will never understand how there wasn't a rule that said you can't practice until you have all test results available. That almost seems like a basic rule that would be incorporated in any kind of protocol, but
that seems like
I guess
kindergarten,
I'm assuming it's some
common
kind of
sense,
protocol that like carried over from like the NHL playoff bubble, where they felt complacent to the point of, if we're doing the tests, then chances are we're going to be okay, even if we practice before the results are in. I don't know. I can't speak on behalf
I think
of the
they just
league.
got caught napping, because like I think at the beginning of the year there were teams that were testing positive and they were canceling practice like that. Like they were just quickly like, nope, shut it down right now. We'll be back in a couple days. Like they were much more on the ball, and now suddenly they just totally dropped it right here, and boom, you have an entire team just covered in COVID. Like
and now it doesn't really matter. Like the rumor is like that, or not the rumor, but thoughts are now like, do they even continue the season? They were really up against it prior to their week off, if they could even like fight for a playoff spot. And now you're asking a team coming back from like a brutal COVID outbreak to come back and battle for possibly 5th place or something like that. So it's just a matter of like, is it even worth it? Elliot Friedman also had said the team right now, like obviously is inundated with like what to do, and to the point of they haven't even made any like concrete call-ups outside of 2 players, because they're thinking some guys might not even think it's worth it to continue playing after this COVID outbreak. It's just not worth it for the safety of their families. Like Travis Hamonic, his daughter unfortunately has like a respiratory illness from birth, and he signed in BC, got that NMC because he didn't want to, get traded midway during a pandemic, and rightly so. And here he is getting sick on the job at fucking work, and endangering the life of a child that he tried to protect last year when he opted out of the playoff bubble. Like your heart hurts to see it. CreaseCast wishes them and their families and their spouses and everyone on the team nothing but the best, because COVID sucks. I've had one of my friends, he went through it, and he said it beat the ever loving fuck out of him. He was basically like, he said he felt like he had been hit by a train, and he wasn't sure if he was going to make it through it just because of how awful he felt. So you wouldn't want to wish that on your best friends. You wouldn't wish that on a elite peak conditioned athlete whose career might be completely ruined by it. It's just awful, just straight up. And we don't want to focus too much on it, because even though we're a pro negativity and misery podcast, as you can tell by every episode and how we talk about the Sabres somehow.
Agree to disagree there.
we're positive about our negativity, so that means it's kind of a positive thing.
Terrible.
So, geez.
Awful.
But
what else is there to say, really? Just
exactly.
There's nothing that we can say right now that hasn't already been said 1,000 times on Twitter, on other shows, including our own already in the last 2 episodes we did last week. So there's no real point in spending a bunch of time on it again today, and in the same way that it's almost like not worth spending any time talking about the Canucks as far as the season goes for them right now. Like, there's hockey going on everywhere else, just not here, and we can talk about those things, and we can talk a little bit, I guess, about what might or may not be going on trade deadline wise, because that's kind of the only news thing that's still concrete, technically speaking.
We can talk about one of the key pitches that came out during the trade deadline talks from a former NHL GM who's really in tune with the market and seems to know, like has a grasp on the pulse of the NHL GMs, and that was former Tampa Bay GM Brian Lawton, who pitched possibly one of the most alpha brain
Great trade.
5D chess
Fantastic.
trades of all time.
Perfect.
I don't know if you still have it pulled up. What was it?
I
Nico
do. So
Hischier.
it's Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes going to Buffalo from the Devils in exchange for Jack Eichel and Rasmus Dahlin.
Well,
Why? Why would they? Okay.
Why would anyone?
My
agree
first
to
question
this
is
trade?
why.
Yeah.
My second question is why, and my third question is why. Like there is no
Well-
reason any of this should matter. What's like it's all very stupid. There have been some very galaxy brain takes this week from certain people. I mean,
Yeah.
I won't name names here, but obviously the thing that is most exciting for the Canucks is they're going to be very well rested when they come back, and it's not fair to the other teams in the division that they're going to have to play such a rested, relaxed Canucks team after their vacation, this vacation they've had. Yeah. I won't name names because I don't care because it's not worth our time. But it rhymes
it rhymes with Blamian Fox.
It's just so. Oh my god, that was
one of the worst takes I think I've ever read on Twitter. And we're a part of Canucks Twitter, which is a daily treasure trove of just the stupidest thoughts and opinions, and I'm responsible for like most of them.
It's true.
So to read that was just jaw dropping. Like, oh my god, what a complete fucking idiot.
Yeah, you and I both know that I don't really go after people much on Twitter. That's just not my thing. But when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm putting my foot down here. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And I had to be a bit rude about it. 'Cause I was like, this is and apparently guys getting paid to write a book about hockey in the era of COVID. I'm like, you clearly don't know. And he was actually doubling down on it. Like he was going into the mentions for the replies for I think Josh Ray was one of them. I think he went after.
Yeah, he went after every single reply
except mine.
Quadruple.
Yeah.
Or
it's like you don't know
octuple down.
You don't know what
takes.
You don't know what their symptoms are. You don't know if they even have it. It's like, yes, we do.
We absolutely
can literally see it right on the damn. We can see all the damn evidence.
The crazy shit too is his tweet came after Michaela Godet was like, by the way, guys, we're holding up. Adam isn't feeling hot at all, and it was like his tweet was immediately wrong. It wasn't even he's speculating that everyone is fine and or whatever. But no, it was instantly wrong, and he still quadrupled down on it. It was just an implosion of the absolute most galaxy brain man known to man. I'm shocked he still has his book deal, frankly.
I'm stunned. I was just I was like, I cannot believe this. It's just one of the dumbest things you could possibly say. And especially when players are literally the sickest they've ever been. It's careless,
and not just one of them,
wrong,
but all of them.
It's careless. It's wrong. It's rude. It's totally uncalled for. It's so much wrong with it. It's so bad. There have been some weird takes this week. Outside of the Canucks stuff. I mean, there was the weird thing, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this because it's not really, it's silly at the end of the day, but there was the whole Darren
at the end of the day, all
Ben
we can
Kuzma
do is
we're debating, we're basically having a passive,
it was a pissing contest about who
had the most accurate
facts, and it was
numbers, and it's
it doesn't fucking
really matter. Does it really matter? No.
And at the end of the day, it ended up him being wrong because literally a day later, his whole it's not 20 people as we led to believe, because on Saturday they added 7 names to it, and we're like, oh yeah, it's 18 players plus 2 from the taxi squad and then support staff and excluding spouses. So it was like,
Now he wasn't saying
wrong.
that, but he wasn't saying that was his opinion though. He was saying that was based on the information he got, which we know where that came from, which is,
we
and I think
it's
almost kind of like a, hey, this is like, I don't. It's one of those. I don't think he was necessarily like, he wasn't giving a take so much as he was just like, this is what management, or
it was
allegedly this is what management told me.
It was very clearly like, I messaged someone on the team and they worded it in such a way that I'm taking it exactly as presented to me without any kind of like investigation or thorough doubling down. So instead of, I don't know, hammering into the details, it was just like, oh, it isn't as bad as it's led to believe.
Is that because that part was the main problem? If you leave that out, you can just be like, this is what they said. They're probably not right, but here it is you know what they said anyway. But like, that's kind of like, oops.
So the other day, like not the other day, but like the other week, I kind of went on my pedestal about like criticizing the NMC to Travis Hamonic, which, like, I'll admit, like, is completely unfair because it's like he's just doing whatever he's got to do as a player. He's completely in his right to get it. My whole issue was the process side of it, which means like, I thought if you're giving out an NMC for 1 year, you could probably whittle that contract down from whatever it was, 1.5 to whatever, based on the fact that he only wants to play in the West and no one else was in on him. Mm-hmm. But then here it's like, okay, this isn't something you want to take your pedestal on when it's like you're 2 days into a COVID outbreak on a team. It seems silly to get on your soapbox and be like, no, the number that was told to me is the correct number. And then a bunch of the complete idiots on Canucks Twitter say every other journalist that are saying otherwise are wrong and are fear mongering, which is like maybe like the stupidest thing I've ever read. I was at like a socially distanced April thing with my nieces and nephews. My father-in-law has a very nice backyard in Anmore that is giant and perfect for hanging out with family in a safe and appropriate way. Got to spread out eggs, make a campfire, all that crap. And I was sitting there the entire time in the sun reading these tweets calling Thomas Drance and Patrick Johnson idiots and fearmongers, and I'm like, well, what fucking planet are you on? No one here is like it was just the dumbest thing to get on a soapbox and like double down on the pissing contest to say someone is right and someone is a bad journalist. It's like, dudes, big picture here. It doesn't fucking matter. Look, 4 days later, COVID spread, and now it's above 20. So now where are you at? Do you still think like the journalists are stupid idiots because they stuck to their guns? Or are you just going to double down, or are you just going to admit that you're a fucking idiot? And you're not going to admit you're a fucking idiot. You're just going to widen the goalposts because you're a fucking idiot. So I got no time for those people that are criticizing the journalists. Like, I disagree with Kuzma's doubling down at like thing that he did, where he was kind of like you said, passive aggressively.
It wasn't like he wasn't like just like being like this is completely incorrect. It was more of a like, it was more implied.
It was just kind of like, well, I have my sources, and
right.
You know, it was a weird time to be passive aggressive about information that in the big picture doesn't matter.
And even like Darren Dreger getting into it with him over it.
Yeah, that was pretty
kind
funny.
Of weird. Like, I was just like, even then, but I was just kind of like, why does it matter? You don't. Neither of you need to be doing this. Like, it's not.
Yeah, neither needed to do it. At the end of the day, I mean, everyone knew too. Like, it doesn't matter if there isn't, even if there isn't 20 players on the COVID list right now. COVID fucking spreads, and look at, here we are, Tuesday. At 8 a.m., they announced Jake Virtanen gets added, and that puts them at 22 players or something that have COVID. And no one's been taken off the COVID protocol list. So it's like,
I think it was really dumb. I think the only healthy players right now, if I'm remembering correctly, are JT Miller, Besser,
Jordy Ben,
and
Nate
Nate
Brock
Schmidt.
Besser, and Jimmy Vesey.
And
It's like it's all the Americans and Jordy Ben who had it earlier this year.
I think VC is on the list, isn't he? No, am I wrong?
If he got added, I wouldn't.
Boyd
be
was on
but
the. Sorry, Boyd is on. The
Boyd
list.
was on the list, and I think someone
Someone
tweeted was like, "Welcome to the new team."
Poor Travis.
Yeah,
Here's your housewarming gift.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Hey, you just went from like a bona fide cup contender to a team that has a COVID outbreak. Welcome to the team, bud.
Even worse, it's hey, welcome back from your 2-week quarantine. Your week quarantine.
God.
Here's another
3
weeks of quarantine. Oh, it's all so
Yeah,
bad. But at the end
all
of the
just
day,
awful.
at the end of the day, there's nothing we can do about it right now other than, send our sympathies and, obviously
hope for the best. Fingers crossed.
Obviously, the games are complete. The games in whatever aspects, even like the trade deadline stuff, anything.
Yeah.
It's all completely secondary to the people, the staff, like the players, the staff, their families. That's what's important right now. And at the end of the day, like there isn't anyone who wouldn't be willing to trade like, an 0-82 season for the full health of everybody coming back. Like there isn't one person who wouldn't make that decision. Trade.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's what so you just hope that they all come back. You just hope they all come back healthy for whenever they want to play, ready to play again. And right now,
if they're coming back healthy for next season, and it's not the priority. The priority is getting back to being an elite athlete, and
and hopefully
family stays well too. Doesn't matter, but
I will say on the weird, like in terms of the wide spectrum of things, it's really weird to be sitting here in Vancouver, like with a team that can't play because it's full. There's just COVID going rampant again, and then to see like highlights from a Blue Jays game in Texas where they literally had a sellout
65,000 strong,
65,000 in a damn baseball park because Texas is very stupid. It's just a complete mess. But it's a complete mess.
On one hand, I'm like, oh god, that's like a nightmare waiting to happen. But then the other part of me is like, well, America's vaccinating at a way better rate than we are. Just today, they allowed like us normies to start applying for our first round of vaccinations. So
really,
we're so behind compared to them. Where I'm like, man, that Rangers thing is such a stupid idea. But then, I mean, what percentage do you think of those people have already been vaccinated or were wearing masks? I bet.
Well,
the guys not wearing masks, I'm sure
it was very
pretty
low.
decent percentage. I know, like you see the pictures, you're like, no one's wearing masks. So
it's Texas. What do you think?
The optimist in me is hoping the ones not wearing masks are vaccinated, and that's the only thing I'm holding on to because like otherwise
for anyone
my
who's
brain
not watching,
broken.
I'm just shaking my head at the camera. Like
anyway, this is enough COVID talk because like
it's sad.
We just heard in Vancouver there was like another record-breaking total of cases. It was 1,086. It's constantly blowing up. Let's move on to something else because I don't want to live in reality. Let's live in hockey reality, which is
a little bit better, at least for everyone else. There's so many things. I guess the one thing that's interesting about this week for us, at least, is that it does give us an opportunity to go and look at some of the other teams that we might not otherwise get the chance to pay attention to as much. Like I've been watching a lot of the last couple days. I've been watching a lot of games involving like the American teams. The first thing I would just want to yell about really quick is apparently all the Fox channels in the States rebranded to like Bally Sports or something. There's the ticker, like they use like the score clock they have is just atrocious and makes me want to pull my hair out for whatever reason. It's very poorly designed, and I know nobody cares about that, so I'm just going to leave it at that. But there's a lot of things coming. There's a lot of stuff that's been coming up with like the trade deadline on the way and everything. And I guess one team we should talk about. We've kind of touched on them before a little bit, just because of one of our favorite players on that team is always going in some interesting things. The St. Louis Blues are at 500 right now and currently sit tied for fifth in the West Division with the Sharks, which is not good. That's not good. In case you don't know how the Sharks rebuild is going, it's not doing great. Although I do believe they're playing. I do believe they're playing tonight. They're playing later tonight. So they're against Anaheim, who I believe is dead last. They're dead last. Wow, that did come out of that came out of nowhere. But basically the Blues are not doing well. They've lost 3. They've lost their they've won 2 out of their last 10. Jordan Binnington has won 1 game in his last 9. And Craig Berube had some like interesting quotes that I can't find them. But it was something like, "Oh, this
But they
team's
do
lost
exist,
its will."
and they're very funny.
Yeah, it's like something like this team doesn't look like they care.
He's
Like they look done.
He's like the
And I'm
team is
like,
mentally weak. They face
Yeah.
adversity and they don't, and they're soft. It was total old man hockey shit where he's just like, team's got no fire. They got nothing. They face a little bit of adversity. They get down a goal and they just collapse. They're mentally weak. It was like, whoa.
Don't you remember when Robert Bortuzzo fought that one guy, and then we went on the winning streak? Like that was, and then we won the cup, and that's what he's trying to get
Just
right
2
now. He's trying to get
seasons
someone
ago,
to just
that's it?
drop the gloves. Yeah, that was 2 years ago. That time. I can't tell if sounds like it feels like decades ago at this point for me. That feels like so long ago.
For me, that actually feels closer than the Tampa Bay Lightning's win, because the Tampa Bay Lightning's win, I guess because this year in itself is like this super stretched out timeline where like things that happened within the last 12 months like feel like they happened like decades ago, but the things that preceded COVID-19 feel like they were just the other day. Like on Twitter, they were celebrating the Sedin's last home game, which was 3 years ago or 2 years ago or whatever it was, 3 years ago. And that to me feels like it was just the other day. I was at that game getting told to stop cheering so loud. So haven't I said that story on here?
You've definitely talked about
I've told the story how I got the tickets.
You've never told me that you were told to stop cheering so loud.
So get this. Maybe you listen, so this will be really bad for him. But
oh no, wait, is this someone I know? Oh my
no. This is a complete nobody as far as I know.
Okay.
But
okay,
if you haven't heard it, folks, I kind of went into how I procured like 14 tickets to the Sedin's final home game for like $40 each because I had a feeling it was going to be their last home game of the season, and I bought them like I think a week before they announced or put out the video saying this is our last year, boys. So the place that we were in was the Upper Bowl, and the people sitting in front of us, the guy called security because he thought I was screaming and yelling or cheering too loud. So the security guy had to come up, and he came up to me and he was like, he pulled me into the aisle and was like, "Hey, I just want you to know I'm pretty much doing this as a formality. I love the fact that you're cheering a lot. I'm not too sure what this guy expected." Because it's their fucking last home game, dude. Like, what game are you think you at? And
even if it wasn't, like, it's a
hockey game.
It's a sporting event. Get out.
Yeah,
and
it's like the biggest one of the decade for Canucks fans because it's the last home game they'll ever see of the Sedins. And then get this, so that was the first period he complained and got security on me. The second period, he wasn't in his seat the entire time. He just fucked off for the entire second period and then came back for the third. It was the biggest, like, who the fuck are you? Who the fuck is this guy? Who does he think he is? Anyway, that's my little story about the Sedin's final game because that'll live down in history. It still feels like it was just the other day where I was baffled that security was called on me for cheering too loudly. But yeah, the Blues, like, my God, that the other day they won a cup for like a few months after teammates beat the shit out of each other to practice. And 2 years later, the team hasn't really seen that much turnover. Like, they lost Pietrangelo. But other than that,
and they replaced him with Torrey Krug. It's not like they lost him and replaced him with nothing, with a bag of rocks. Like,
yeah, and the guy that went to the Canadians, but
Jake Allen, yeah.
And
Joel Edmondson.
Joel Edmondson, yeah. So it's like the team is still like the core is still the same. And then they added Jordan Kyrou, who's like looking like an absolute monster. They've got a bunch of depth pieces coming in from like the farm team, which is like shocking. And they're like contributing, like Nathan Walker and Dakota Joshua were giving them decent games. And then suddenly, they signed Jordan Binnington into a massive deal. And guess what? He's playing exactly like Jordan Binnington was playing before he went on that hot streak that won them the cup. It's
Yeah.
very funny, frankly.
I think Billy Husso is starting again tonight as well. Or he
Who is
was
someone
starting.
they do not trust in the slightest, which is
almost too
so
bad. I
kind
think
of funny.
because he's not bad. He's not a bad goalie, I don't think.
Yeah, he's fine at the
He
AHL
deserves
level,
more.
but his
He deser-
NHL numbers have not really been where you'd probably want them if you're the Blues, who think they're
But
still in their window, right?
right, but they're also, again, because they have Binnington, they're probably not giving him the amount of starts he needs to actually settle into the job, right? Like they're probably using him. They were probably using him sparingly up until Binnington went ice cold. So I imagine I imagine that's kind of made things a lot more difficult for Huso to really get accustomed to playing at that level, right? Again, I haven't watched a lot of their games because we've been focused on what's been going on here.
And
I
also,
do
they're just not
remember
a very fun team to watch, to be honest.
no, I mean after you watch them against the Canucks, like you watch them against the Canucks in that playoff series, the Canucks were controlling the games that the Canucks won. They were fun because the Canucks were just like taking it to the whole time. And they were absolutely making them play like up a tempo that they clearly couldn't keep up with for long stretches of time.
Yeah.
And then the games that they lost were just the Canucks lost to the Blues were the ones where the Blues dictated the tempo and made it a complete slog. Just awful. Just
Yeah.
awful hockey to watch. And the Blues are a team that plays a lot they like to play tough. They like to take a lot of chippy penalties, and they definitely like to take their liberties with guys, and that's a big reason they made it all the way to the final and won the cup.
Yeah.
And then you have like stuff like this where I mean like Mike Hoffman is supposed to be on like their first line and he's getting like
He's
benched.
scratched.
He got like
Yeah.
healthy scratched, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, is he getting traded?" And Brewe's like, "No, I just wasn't
Nah.
seeing enough out of him." Which
Yeah.
I mean, okay, fair. Like I mean, that's fair if you want to scratch a guy for one game to prove a point. Yeah, I guess go ahead, but still weird considering like he's supposed to be like really important and you're trying to win
Yeah.
some games. That's kind of a pointless way to deal with it.
Yeah.
Don't make
It-
me see worse. Like,
It's just some baffling shit going down in St. Louis, which is I don't know.
I don't even know.
They
who
won their
they're,
cup,
like-
so it's like I mean, what's there more to say? Like all those players, like I just spoke about how like they didn't really overhaul the team or haven't really seen that much changes since their cup run. So if they get on this losing streak and they fall out of the playoffs, like do you think any of them are like oh fuck, we need to do this, this is our year? Like no, they spent like some of these guys have been on the team for like 6 or 7 years and are just like, oh well, I won my cup, I don't care if we streak and we don't make it this year, oh well, better luck next year. Like
that was kind of
Perron's been like off and on the St. Louis Blues for so long, and it took him for fucking ever to win a cup with them. O'Reilly kind of, I mean, like he like straight up tried to beast the team to the finals and tried to beast them through the playoffs in the bubble. Didn't really work, but he still got his cup. Something he was desperately trying to find after years of pain in Colorado and Buffalo. But yeah, it's just like at this point, if they're dead last in the division, like
well, they're second to last, so they're tied for fifth.
Yeah, okay.
They're tied for fifth. They're tied for fifth, and but they're tied with the Sharks, who I don't know if you've looked at the Sharks roster recently. It's not great. They're not doing super well. But that's actually by design. Like to a point that's by design. Like last year they weren't good either, but everybody knew that. So this isn't a surprise that they're not fantastic this year. Whereas it's totally different for the Blues. I mean, the Sharks are playing like Jeffrey Viel now, who I remember seeing in his first year with the Barracuda, right fresh after winning the Memorial Cup with the Teton. He was like the captain there. He was a big fighter. He got to just being like a big like kind of an enforcer basically at the AHL level. Took a lot of fighting majors. Sure enough, came up in his first game with the Sharks and had a fight right in his first game. They've had some guys who've shown up like Dylan Gambrell, who's playing I think regularly now. John Leonard is another one. Rudolph Balcer's coming back. I know they didn't want to lose him in the Carlson trade, and now they got him back.
Yeah.
But again,
Ottawa going to Ottawa, so it worked out.
That's by design. They knew they're going to be bad. The Blues should not be in the same boat as the Sharks or the Ducks or the Kings, who are all clearly in the middle of rebuilding. I don't even know who the Blues' top scorer is, and I haven't looked because
we'll get into that.
I know you have a game.
I do have a game, and we want to get into that because, frankly, there isn't much NHL news, there's NHL news, but like
there's a little bit of stuff.
It's all speculation. Like Taylor Hall held out of the lineup from Buffalo, and there is speculation that it's because
Marcus Sorensen was held out today held out of the lineup as well today as a healthy scratch for the Sharks. So there might be something going there because he was in practice apparently. So who knows? There might be some trades coming, or they're just Oh, here's an interesting tweet. This is fascinating. The Capitals were shut out tonight for the first time this season. That leaves the Ottawa Senators as the only team in the NHL that has not been shut out this season.
Really?
Apparently the Senators are the only team that has not been shut out. What?
I mean, I guess that's true. Like every time the Vancouver plays them, like they still give up 1 or 2 goals.
They get one.
Like, they at least get one. But that's very funny.
I mean, again, what have we been saying about the Senators for weeks? Those guys fucking battle. Like they're bad, but they're put in the effort. They really try. And you can't help but respect the fact that they put in like they go the full 9 yards.
Yeah.
That's hilarious that I retweeted that because that's fantastic. I cannot believe that's true. Like that feels wrong. Like that's got to be incorrect, but good for them.
Yeah.
I mean the trade deadline's coming up. I do have like the trade board up like that the Athletic has. Just for like some of the names that are coming out and what's going on there. And we're going to talk a lot about some of the individual or not a lot about the individual teams, but a fair amount because again, not much Canucks news this week. But just like looking at some of the stuff that might be going on. I mean, the Sabres obviously want to offload Taylor Hall. I think they're going to have a hard time. I think they're going to have a hard time getting the deal they want for him. It's very much going to be a here's our ninth best forward or our seventh best forward for Taylor Hall sort of thing. They're not going to get they're not going to get blown away by any offers, particularly because I think he has 2 goals.
He doesn't have much, and it's just like he's got a fairly significant cap hit. So if anyone in this today's NHL is trading for him, it's probably going to be for a bad contract and a pick or like you said, some fringe top 9 forward. Is it going to be the kind of core rebuilding piece that Buffalo's probably looking for, especially now that they're once again one of the worst teams in the league?
And the last thing they need is more middling players. They need guys who
they need difference makers.
I always joke that Jim Benning tries too much to swing for the fences on trades and doesn't work enough to get singles and doubles sort of things, stuff that just works that just works for enough, that just works a fair amount. Doesn't need to be amazing, just needs to get on base sort of thing. The Sabres are a team that needs some damn home runs. They need home runs now. They can't be just going after I don't know. I think the one that people keep picking up is the Bruins want Taylor Hall and they would trade Jake DeBrusk to get him. Jake DeBrusk, if you send him to a team that's already kind of on the upswing, he's a fine piece. But he's not going to help the Sabres. The Sabres, he will do nothing to help the Sabres, not because he's just not what they need. They don't need more middle 6 guys. They need someone who can actually blow your socks off a little bit, and that's just not out there right now for them. They're gonna have a hard time getting anything of decent value unless they maybe look out and get a really high pick. But again, in this draft, like it's a crapshoot. You don't even that first rounder is not worth the same thing. It's not worth nearly as much as it is in a normal year.
Yeah. It's like a gamble, right? Like if you're trading Eichel or Dolan or whatever, you're giving up on your core piece that you took so many years to fail and obtain over the past 5 years, so that you're probably going to ask for 3-4 first round picks in the ensuing years, and you're going to hope you're just going to replace them, but they're not going to be, difference makers to the point of having a good team again for another 5 to 6 years. So you're just like pushing the broom basically,
They're
and
kicking the can down the road.
you're not even doing anything. You're just
it's shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic. It's completely it's going to do nothing to make the long-term help aspect better. They're really just
it'll be good entertainment, but that doesn't help them win games.
No. Kyle Palmieri is an interesting one. He's one of those guys that like he kind of fell off the radar a little bit, like just because he went to New Jersey, and I think he was supposed to be like, not that he was supposed to be like way better or something, but it was just he went from like having a really good season in Anaheim that one year to kind of just being like meh, he'll do all right. I think he was an all-star one year for the Devils, just by a weird, I think just like a weird, well, we have to send somebody sort of thing.
Yeah. Who do we got?
I don't know where he fits. I don't know where you think he might fit. Is there a team that you think could take a look at a guy like Kyle Palmieri and like?
Well, I think they had rumors that Toronto was in on Palmieri, which I mean,
oh, that's okay, right?
It seems
winger.
I mean, I guess it'd be a decent enough fit, but again, like, doesn't he have like a $4 million cap hit?
Yeah, so he's at 4.65. 4.65. You'd have to move money out, and also like that's not really the thing the Leafs need most. Really, like the thing the Leafs need is depth on defense. Like their defense is. It's looking a little bit suspect of late. Like they never have trouble scoring. Their biggest problem is always keeping pucks out of their own net. One thing I did want to touch on very briefly is in regards to the Leafs is like Jack Campbell's now the starter, because I guess just Freddie Anderson just fell like off a cliff. This has been such a weird year for most of the goalies. Like there have been a lot of goalies that have just.
It's been a weird season in general, kind of, but like, I mean, yes, especially for like the top team in the Canadian North Division is being led by a goalie who took like 8 years to arrive, and he's doing it in such a streaky fashion that it's like just propelling Toronto far and away above everyone else in the division. Like it isn't even close. Like they can completely flounder from here on out and still be fine for playoffs.
I believe there's something like another one of these ridiculous stats where I believe Jack Campbell hasn't lost a game in a calendar year, or like something insane. Just because again the way the pause worked out, it might have been 20.
I know what you're talking about.
Been since 2019.
It was the tweet that was like Jack Campbell hasn't lost in regulation since before the pandemic, and you're just kind of like, wait, what? How's that possible?
Like it's and then it's like, oh, I see. He only's played like 8 games.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense. But still, like Freddie Anderson was a guy who was supposed to. Not just was he supposed to be like the guy who had finally stabilized the goaltending for them and did do so more or less for a while. He was supposed to go on to like, this is his contract year. He's a UFA. He's a UFA at the end of the year. He was supposed to go on and get his big hefty payday after winning a championship in Toronto, sort of thing. And now, he might be hard pressed to even find a backup spot for some teams. I mean, they're already talked that the Leafs might try and trade away from that situation and get somebody better to stabilize the back end. And you have to start looking at teams that have decent, okay goaltending, but don't have the team to get them there. Or that aren't named Thatcher Demko, I should clarify.
Thatcher Demko doesn't have a no trade clause.
Thatcher Demko doesn't have an extension yet, technically.
Yes.
That still technically hasn't happened. No matter what the ownership says, I don't think it's in the records. Like, I don't think I don't have access to the NHL media website, But I imagine if you went and looked, like if any media person went and looked, I don't think Demko would be on the transaction list in terms of an extension yet. I don't think it's official technically
No, it's just like
league. Like the
it's like
paperwork hasn't been
a
filed. I
yeah,
don't
it's like a
think.
handshake deal. Like we'll sign this
Yes.
soon enough.
Yes.
Once your
Like it's
deal's technically expired, we'll sign on the dotted line. It'll be good to go.
yeah. I literally think I think it's just because COVID happened, the COVID situation happened that they're like, we better like hold off on this for a week or
Yeah.
two. And I'm sure like once everyone's healthy and they get back to games, then the team will officially be like, okay, here's the deal, it's done.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, the Leafs, as far as they're going, they could use some help. I mean, Campbell's good, but like he's doing quite well, and it's cool to see him doing as well as he is. But you want to talk about goalies with a small sample size? That's not good. That's not a. I don't know if that's
Yeah,
sustainable.
That's a bold thing to ride into playoffs, is like a guy who's never been there. Just so like, I mean, Jordan Binnington did it. Maybe the Leafs think
Matt Murray did it.
yeah, maybe they think this is our guy. He's just gonna come out of nowhere and backstop them to a finals. Like it's possible. Like
I mean, that's what it takes sometimes.
Like Carolina, they won a cup that way.
Cam Ward, yeah.
Cam Ward just like came out of nowhere because they're
didn't even start the first two games of the playoffs. He was the backup.
first two games, like the goalie was complete dog shit, and they were like
Martin Gerber.
Yeah, the easiest cup he's ever won. He played like shit, and then was the backup for the rest of the entire playoffs, and they won a cup off of Cam Ward coming out of fucking nowhere and backstopping them to a trophy. Like sometimes that's the kind of luck that you need, right? Like you're not always going to have a Andre Vasilevsky who's just like a Vezina caliber goalie every season.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's actually one thing I want to look into is one thing I did like do some preliminary work on at one point is like asking the question like how much do backup goalies for cup teams get on their next contract? Because I think a lot of them end up getting like ridiculous surplus. Like it's like a perfect example of like the cup tax. But I think his contract was signed before they won, didn't he? Like he won because he was still, I think, the starter at that point. They still.
I think he was on his. I think he was on his existing deal at the time, and he signed that extension with Montreal once it was over, and then it kicked in. Yeah.
Okay.
I think
something like that. It might have been something like that. And one other thing I just wanted to touch on. I don't know who. I think I know who made this article or something, but there was an article I think that came out recently, or at least a tweet where somebody was like, "The Leafs have saved Alex Galchenyuk," and I'm like,
because he scored once.
Yeah, literally, everyone's like, he scored one goal. Like,
he's back, baby.
Like, yeah, people were like, Leafs fans were like, and like Leafs, I think like a media person was like patting themselves on the back, like this is Toronto, it's world class, like this is a world class organization. They saved his career. It's like
that's about as Leafs media as it gets, eh? Just one goal, whole article dedicated to the resurgence, the comeback tour. It's just gross. Like, oh my god, get over it.
Just awful. Like wait until I write my article. How the Canucks saved Jimmy Vesey's career.
Yeah, the Canucks saved Travis Boyd.
Yeah, or even like Tyler Myers. The Canucks saved Tyler Myers.
I think what you should do is for your Botchford project thing, you should you should change your topic to how the Canucks saved Juicy Jokinen or Oli Jokinen's career, or whatever the fuck his name was. UC Oli.
That was I think it was Oli. Jokinen. No, it was UC. Oli Jokinen did not play for the Canucks. He did not play for the Canucks.
I knew it was a yoke. What a yoke.
He was good. He was
he was great. He had 7 points in 10 games. It was like
brief stretch, and I remember people being kind of PO'd because it was like the Canucks, I think, were still trying to tank more or less, and he won a few games.
He played with Besser, and they were like unreal together for a little bit, and it was kind of like, right. Is Juicy, is Jokinen the answer? Can he actually fit? And then
that was so like you knew they were going to walk away from him as soon as that contract expired at the end of the year. It was just a seat filler.
Yeah,
but
it was just like
that was so funny.
They basically replaced Thomas Vanek. They replaced Vanek with Jokinen, and Jokinen had the exact same kind of like point spread as Vanek did with Besser, and everyone was kind of like, even I was
Fantastic.
like, let's do it, another
Yeah.
year, baby, make it
Yeah.
work.
You know who I wanted another year of? I wanted another year of Luke Shen. I liked Luke Shen. He was good.
Yeah,
in,
he
like,
didn't want
the
to stay
five.
though. He wanted a cup, and it worked out for him.
Yeah, he won his.
He literally
no,
did it.
I think the Canucks didn't want him. The Canucks didn't even make him an offer. I don't think they even offered him anything.
That wouldn't be surprising.
Like it was.
That'd be a very on brand.
And it was one of those like, hey, look, it's the player that everyone expected Eric Goodbranson to be, but actually do it. He's actually doing it and kind of contributing as well. I like Luke Shen. He racked up the hits. He was fun. He was a fun guy. Yeah, he was fun. He was fun.
Anyway, speaking of fun, why don't we get into our little game before we clock this one out? Because this game is very stupid that we came up with like literally like 3 seconds before we started recording.
We've been working on this game for a very long time. It's been years in the making, actually.
Months and months. Because I think if we go through every team, it'll go long. So why don't we do like best of 5? So I'll pick 5 from a division and you pick 5 from a division. Okay.
Okay. So basically the game is because we haven't watched enough of the other teams, we're each going to try and guess.
We have no idea who the top scorers are. We have no clue.
The leading scorers on 5 different teams. Okay.
And we decided on the Central and the East divisions because we don't really follow either division really, because obviously the West has more Pacific teams on it. So it makes more sense that you're more in tune with that in the West. Yeah. But East and Central, like I could not tell you a single goddamn thing. So which one do you want? Do you want Central or East, or do you want to just do random?
Let's just do random. Let's just go random. Let's get nuts with it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Do you want to go first, or should I go first?
I'll go first. So I pick one team from the Central or the East here. Okay.
Yeah. And then I'll try and guess who the top scorer is.
Okay. You're gonna try. Okay. So you're gonna try and guess the top scorer for the Carolina Hurricanes.
Oh shit. I'm gonna pick Sebastian Aho.
You'd be correct. 36 points in 36 points in 38 games. Not bad. Not bad. Second is currently a tie between Vinny Trocheck and Dougie Hamilton. At least this is based on the
really.
Unless there's an injury. I did realize that I should that I'm going based off the team list and not the possibly like the injured reserve list. That might be different, so I should maybe pull up a different like hockey reference instead or something.
Okay.
But yeah,
right.
Sebastian Aho. I mean, the Hurricanes are a team that's built with just a complete team. They're such a good model for what you should be doing.
Yeah, so like we say we didn't really watch much of these two divisions, but like if you can watch the Hurricanes, usually it's a pretty good game because they're really fun to watch.
They're actually really fun to watch. They're balanced. The goaltending is a little chaos when you have Mrazek, who's injury prone, and James Reimer, who's James Reimer. Just an all around fun team to watch. Yeah, Aho is still the team leader. Yeah. Okay. All right. My turn.
You're going to tell me who is the leading scorer of the Detroit Red Wings.
The Red Wings. Okay. I mean, first instinct is Dylan Larkin. And I think I'm trying to think who it could. I think Anthony Mantha was scratched for a game at one point, like healthy scratched for a game. I know it's not Troy Stetcher. So I'm gonna first instinct's best instinct. I'm gonna say Dylan Larkin.
You are incorrect. It is Philip Hronek.
Oh, really? Philip Hronek. Yeah. That is not a name I saw coming at all.
You know how bad
how much?
You know how bad the Detroit Red Wings are doing? So your pick, Dylan Larkin, has 20 points in 36 games, and he's the third highest scorer on the team. Philip Hronek has 22 points. That's it.
Oh, no.
In 40 games.
Who's number 2?
That is Anthony Mantha with 20 well as Dylan Larkin. But that is ugly hockey. Like if you're a Detroit fan, that is absolutely atrocious.
At least you got that nice new building to enjoy. It's probably very
Yeah,
empty. It's
score.
very empty right now.
Yeah.
I do
All
want to
right.
go there. It looks really cool. Like some of the stuff they've done out there is really really cool. Yeah, that's not a fun team. I feel bad. I should watch them more just because to see how Troy Stetcher's doing.
I for
But
some reason I've watched a lot of Troy Stetcher's Detroit Red Wings games this year, and it's just ugly hockey.
did they
It's
ruin? Did they
not
ruin
fun.
him? Because I know they
No,
scratched him too.
I think what they've done is they've put him with Mark Stahl, who is like a very old, like he's like a sixth, seventh defender, but it's basically what he was doing in like Vancouver, where he was carrying a very old and slow Alex Edler. But Mark Stahl is older and slower, and the coach
Wow.
is trusting a person like Philip Hronik to do more of the work, and Stetcher basically gets cleanup duty with Mark Stahl, which
Mhm.
doesn't allow him to do much with what he's got. But
No.
it's just a tragedy
Yeah, it's a real tragedy.
for the boy. Anyway,
Okay, my turn then.
yeah.
Okay, so we've done two central teams. Okay, I'm gonna jump over to the east here. Um, this one that actually I will say I think the east is relatively self-explanatory. So I'll try and pick the one that I think could maybe be a little bit tougher.
Okay.
The Philadelphia Flyers. Who's leading scorer for the Philadelphia Flyers?
Oh God, Travis Konechny.
That would be my guess too, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
The answer to that is incorrect. He
Damn
is
it.
not. He is actually he's seventh.
Oh, I
But
wasn't even close.
well, he's seventh, but he's only 7 points behind first, if my math is correct. First he has 24 points in 31 games. Travis Konechny. First, the guy at the top
Shit.
with 31 points is James Van Riemsdyk.
I have no idea what the hell I was thinking on this one. I could not remember
You
a
know
single
what?
Philadelphia Flyer to save my life.
Travis Konechny would have been my guess too. He's
Okay.
one of the few guys I actually kind of know, like I know decently well, but I could name a few. Like I would have the pile that I was kind of picking from. I would have been picking from in that case would have been like Konechny, Giroux, Voracek, Couturier, and and Kevin Hayes would have
Yeah.
been the only ones that I would have really been picking from out of that group. But yeah, James Van Riemsdyk on tour of duty number 2 with the Flyers.
Good for
Apparently
him.
leading the way. Yeah, good
All
for
right.
him.
Okay.
My turn again.
I'll stick with the East as well, and we'll go back to a staple of the CreaseCast, the Buffalo Sabres.
Oh my God, no. I mean, it can't be Eichel. He's been out for too long, even though they've been bad. Like, I don't think it can be Eichel. Oh my God, this is awful. I hate you.
Sorry.
Oh my God, the only person I could think of that it would be other than him is like Victor Olofsson. I'm gonna go Victor Olofsson.
Sorry.
Eichel.
Sam Reinhart with 24 points in 35 games.
Oh, Buffalo. Oh no.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Buffalo, baby.
That's not a sign of Sam Reinhart doing super well as much as that is a sign of
Yeah.
oh, Buffalo. Oh no, what have you done?
Buffalo, baby, what are you doing?
The actual I'm sorry, the actual answer is it's actually Linus Ullmark is leading the way with points. that would have been my guess. That might have been my guess before
Oh, yeah.
I picked I already
Classic.
forgot who it was. Who the hell was it? It was Sam Reinhart.
You picked Victor Olofsson. Actual scorer was Sam Reinhart.
Where is Olofsson? Is he second, or is he like he's just completely off?
He's second. He has what I say 22 points and 30. Oh God, those.
Oh my God,
those are atrocious numbers. Like
remember when he was a Calder candidate last year?
He was really fun to watch at the AHL level, but man, that's tough. Anyways, next team.
Okay, next team. Okay, I'm gonna go with let's go with the Nashville Predators. They're a bit of a weird. They're a bit of a funky team in the
Shit.
middle in flux. They have quite a few different options at your disposal here.
Damn. This is really bad because I think I've said on the period of time in my life where I was a diehard Nashville Predators guy, and I could not tell you what they've been doing this year to save my life.
Did you not listen to our interview with Brian? Wow. Way to listen to the show. Way to support our own show. Terrible.
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I tuned out as soon as the interview started happening. I listened to my bits and that's it.
Oh, ugh, God.
Anytime you start talking to when I'm
A-listers.
listening, I mute it
Gross.
until I start talking again.
This is why I shouldn't have. I shouldn't be on a podcast with a guy with 2,000 subscribers. He gets 2,000 followers. He gets a swell head.
This is true. It all goes to my head.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Top scorer is Philip Forsberg.
You got it. You got it.
I know him.
No, you got it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you got it. Philip Forsberg, 29 points. He is 7 points clear of second, which is Roman Josi.
Okay, you know, this is the how the sausage is made. The only reason I became a Nashville Predators fan is because I joined a work hockey pool, and the only reason I won is because I picked Philip Forsberg as my rookie, and it was the 2014-15 year when he scored 63 points or something, and those 63 points put me in second and won me $40.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a
Yeah,
great.
so
Yeah,
that's
that's a
that
great
makes
story.
sense, you know.
That's great.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
I was like, I'll keep supporting the team. Why not?
Yeah, they have a weird one because Kalle Järnkrok is number 3 on that list, and Eli Tolvanen is doing pretty well too. The rookie, he's doing all right. Good for. They got a weird mix of guys over there. All right,
Okay.
I guess that's all right. I gotta get on the board here. Jesus,
you gotta get a point, or else I could win, or I could be game point next one.
Yeah.
Washington Capitals.
I mean, it's gotta be Ovi, isn't it? But now I'm second guessing myself because I've shot myself in the foot so many times. It's Ovi. It's gotta be Ovi.
Correct answer was Nicholas Backstrom with 39 points in 38 games. Ovechkin is second with 34 points in 2 games, in 34 games.
Wow, 34 points in 2 games. I think you should give it to me anyway.
I was reading his ranking. Yeah.
That's nuts. That's just nuts. I mean, is it really?
Dude, he's been so good for so long. Just such an underrated player.
I just can't imagine anyone but Ovi being at the top of that list. God damn it.
Yeah,
okay.
Right?
This is bull.
I actually, because what I'm doing is I'm opening the team and just looking at the roster before I switch over to the stats. My pick would have been Kuznetsov because I always assume he's doing really, really good on that team because he's always
Kuznetsov's there too. That makes the Backstrom one even weirder in my opinion.
Kuznetsov only has 20 points this year.
Oh, it's been a weird. Lots of teams having odd years. Zdeno Chara's doing okay from what I've heard. He's doing okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I have
to
try
for game point.
For game point here. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go with Let's see how well you know the Florida Panthers, division leaders. Chris Driedger is doing all right.
Yeah. The answer is obviously Chris Driedger.
Yes.
No, leading points getter for them is Sasha Barkov.
You would be wrong. It's not Sasha Barkov. It's actually Jonathan Huberdeau. By 2 more. He has 2 more points, and you were right to be shocked by that. Okay, Huberdeau is a very good player. Don't get me wrong. It's just you would imagine Barkov is again another guy another case where you just imagine that the only person you could see sitting in number 1 is Barkov. But I think actually if you look at the point spread over the last few years, I do think Huberdeau actually has more points. I think he's even I want to say he's even like already like the franchise leader in points or something crazy. Like
I believe it.
Huberdeau holds, I think, some record. I think there is one record Huberdeau holds for the Panthers right now.
He's one of those players where, like, if you told me to describe him or like you would like blow up my house, I would just say blow up my house because I have no idea what he looks like.
I can picture him. Like I can.
Really? I could not tell you what he looks like to save my life.
The only reason I can do that there are only two reasons I can do that, and that's because A, he was on my fantasy team 2 years in a row, and number two, I remember him as I only really remember him as a St. John Sea Dog when they were really good, when they had that really good, because wasn't that him, McKinnon, like him, Nathan McKinnon and someone else was on the team. Someone just died, like they literally were just lethal.
I remember that. Gross, but anyway,
I forget who it is though. It's gonna bother me that I don't remember who that is, but whatever.
Okay, for you, the Pittsburgh Penguins.
So conventional wisdom would tell me it's Crosby, but that has fooled me far too many times here. This one it's Brandon Tanev. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna
80 points, Brandon Tanev.
80-point getter Brandon Tanev saw a ghost once. Ghost scene 1. He holds the NHL lead when ghost scene.
Ghost per 60, yeah.
Ghosts for 60. I'm gonna I don't think it's Malkin either. Because I think Malkin's been hurt for periods of time, I think.
Maybe.
This is one of the ones where I'm actually pretty darn sure it's someone unconventional, because I do think someone weird was sitting at the top of their points table for a bit. I want to say, Jake Gensel is kind of the one that's sticking out at me right now. I can't really think of anyone else who would be good enough on the Penguins to really... Am I allowed to look at the roster? Am I allowed to?
You can look at the roster, but you can't look at the stats. Yeah, obviously.
Okay. So I'm just gonna pull up data just so I know who's actually even on the damn team, so I can actually have a better look at this here. Okay. I know Jared McCann's been doing all right.
Yeah.
Jason Zucker maybe. Yeah, Malkin is hurt. I'm gonna say Gensel.
And
Crosby. Yeah, damn it. Well,
that's it, baby.
I'm not. Well, okay, hold on. I want my final round here. I want to make sure I don't get shut out at least. Like, come on. I may lose, but I want to make sure I don't get shut out here. So let me give you one more. Your one more is going to be, I'm going to make it hard on you because I feel like it. The Arizona Coyotes.
Nick, whatever his name is, Nick Schmaltz? Nick something?
No, it isn't. He's fifth. Nick Schmaltz is fifth. Actually, I wouldn't have even gotten this one at all. First in the Coyotes right now is Connor Garland with 30 points in 38 games. Yeah,
good for him.
Good for him. 1 point behind him, Clayton Keller, who's making about $8 million a year. Coyotes are in a
thank you, John. # thank you, John.
John Jacob. All right. So I'm trying to prevent the shutout here.
This is your chance to prevent the shutout. The New York Islanders.
Matt Barzal. Final answer.
Ding, 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 ding.
Shut up.
For some reason, I didn't even look it up, but for some reason, I thought it was going to be a lot closer between him and Eberle. So I was like, oh, this might be a lot tighter, but...
I'm going to be honest, I forgot Eberle was even on the team. That's how little I care about the New York Islanders.
Yeah, that's how little I care about any New York team.
You want to talk about boring teams. Oh my God, the Islanders are so boring. Oh my God, that again, like you mentioned, the whole that the Blues championship feels closer to you than the Lightning Cup. Playoff, after the Canucks got eliminated, the rest of that playoffs literally feels like a fever dream to me. Like, it doesn't even feel like it actually, it feels like it non-existent to me. Like, it was just something I just kind of have, the vaguest memory of, happening. And I just remember the Islanders being just such a boring team to watch for that entire playoffs. They were just awful hockey. They get results, granted. Just awful.
But
they have Matt Barzal, and that's it. like in terms of fun.
Pretty much.
Oh,
Their fun per 60 isn't great.
Their fun per 60
That's pretty much all you can say about Barry Trotz is not on board with the fun per 60.
And neither is Lou Lamoriello, so it works out really well for them. Yeah, no mustaches, people. No mustaches.
No mustaches, no high numbers, no fun. He reluctantly signed Matthew Barzal to that giant contract, but it's not even giant; it's a bridge. But I'm sure he's probably thinking
they completely locked him into because they spent everything else. Like they were like, "This is what I'm taking." Because
knowing them, they're going to trade him to Seattle, guaranteed. They're just gonna be like, because it's Lou Lamoriello. He's weird and hates fun. The anti-fun team.
He hates fun, but he
flies in the face of fun.
He hates fun, but he knows good. He knows good hockey when he sees it. Like he wasn't about to trade like Austin Matthews when he was the lead.
He's gonna trade Matt Barzal for Matt Martin.
Matt Martin's already on the team again.
Is he?
Yeah, Matt Martin's an Islander again. You didn't know that?
I had no idea. I assumed. I thought he was on the Marlies for some reason.
No, they got rid of him. The Leafs got rid of him a long time ago. No, he's way gone. I think as soon as Lamoriello went back to the Islanders, he brought Matt Martin.
Oh, he brought him back. Okay, yeah. That's why I'm thinking this would be a really Lou Lamoriello thing to do. It's because he's already done it.
Yeah.
Oh shit. We're clearly both tired. On that note, Lachlan, where can the fine listeners of the CreaseCast find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Lach and the Crease, as well as on TikTok and Twitch. I do things on there sometimes, and as well as LachAndTheCrease.com. Normally every Sunday I do the North Division Power Rankings, but right now taking a break from them because it's very hard to be funny when your team is sick and not playing, and might not, when the whole team has COVID. But we'll be back soon. With that, you can also check out the CreaseCast Patreon for only $5 a month. You get bonus episodes like our Off the Post series. We'll have another one of those coming out for you later this week. And you can also join our $1 tier, which gets you into our Discord channel, as well as a couple other perks like early access sometimes to articles that we're writing and whatnot, and updates on what we're working on. Cody, where can they find you?
The fine listeners can find me at Cody Sievertson on Twitter. Fingers crossed. I might actually have a game recap coming up this week on thecometsharvest.com. Hopefully the AHL schedule shakes out and the Comets can actually get some game action. It'll be their first game since March 10th, nearly a full month removed from their last game action. I'll be a little rusty. Going to be a lot of spelling errors, a lot of mistakes per 60. It won't be my cleanest effort, but I'll be happy to be back and doing it. Don't forget to rate, like, and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. You can check out our YouTube channel as well, where everything on our podcast is posted in video form. Until next time, folks, we will catch you on the flippity flip. Bye.
Bye.